I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, the podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Corky Shank.
Wow, no post bit.
No, I don't have any titles today.
Okay, well, I am still Matt, aka Stormageddon as well, and we are back on our bullshit.
I'm far away from that Wawa, and I know it doesn't matter because this is like a month.
Did you get that
away?
Did you get that Thanksgiving sandwich thing?
Of course I had already had it, which is why I was on Cloud 9 for our last record. I was full of that gobbler.
Fun fact, they also called me the gobbler in college.
They called you the gobbler? No, they didn't. That's a fucking lie.
That was a joke. Put him.
You can't trick me. Why would anyone call you the gobbler?
You're
too classy for that.
It was a gay joke. It was a queer joke. The gobbler.
Oh.
Because I gobble. Never mind.
You nasty. You nasty, and I got family here. You Phil.
Yeah.
Listeners.
I got it. When you
yeah.
were the gobbler.
I didn't. I was. Well, in my heart, that Wawa sandwich is pure and wholesome.
Right, of course.
So you're sullying this.
I'm sorry.
This hoagie experience for me. But you know what never sullies my experience? Hey, seeing family members in my life. Today I have my older brother, Joshua Almond, on the show. Hello, Josh!
Hey, Rachel.
Welcome
hey,
to
Matt.
the
How's it
show.
going?
Good. Josh, welcome. I feel like I'm only ever going to meet Rachel's family members on the podcast. Because now this is two. You and your mom both met for the first time as guests. Which is delightful,
that's funny.
honestly.
Yeah, you know what? I get a lot of fear and worry about asking people to be on my podcast, so I just select people that I know will love me.
There you go.
Even if this goes badly,
This is fair.
they'll just be like, "Oh, wow, Rachel's got a weird hobby, don't they?"
I'm just wondering if Josh is going to continue the tradition of your family members getting me into a franchise, because it is your mom who got me to finally watch John Wick, and I have now become a fan of the franchise. So we'll see if Josh has brought that kind of gold as well with him.
Who knows? I don't even know.
Well, I'm very excited to get to know you, Josh, and we'll chat a bit more in the second half of the show. But first, as always, we're going to jump into the most recent things we've watched, and I will go first. And I'm bringing a show that I'm actually surprised I haven't brought, just because I've been watching the hosts of this show through many incarnations. So the show I brought is a show called The Grand Tour. It's an Amazon Prime show. It is hosted by the former three hosts of the British Top Gear. They left the BBC. One of the hosts didn't get on with one of the producers, so they left or they were fired. I don't remember. And then they went to Amazon and started their own car show called The Grand Tour. The first few seasons were like bits. It was very similar to Top Gear. Like, they did bits, they had segments, they reviewed cars. It was comedic. They had guests. And then the last couple of years, they shifted to doing like longer specials. Like, they'd only have 4 episodes a season, but they'd be an hour and a half. And it'd be like the three of them traveling somewhere, doing weird or ridiculous events or races or whatever with certain kinds of cars, and just talking on about cars and picking on each other and making fun of each other. And most recently, they just released their newest special, which I'm blanking on the name of, but they went to Scotland and they drove American cars and talked about American cars. And it's funny, The Grand Tour is a show I don't know that I would have loved in isolation, but I discovered Top Gear pretty early on. And I knew Richard Hammond, who's one of the hosts, from a show called, I believe it was Brainiac, that he did on G4 ages ago, that was like this weird science show. And I was like, oh, what else does this guy do? And then I discovered Top Gear. Once we started getting BBC America, it was very easy to watch. And they put it all on Netflix, and I ended up falling in love with all of the hosts. Jeremy Clarkson, I mentioned Richard Hammond, and Captain Slow, whose name I'm forgetting.
The other one.
The third one. It'll come to me.
Cheerleader, so-and-so. What's her face?
The ugly one. But like I liked their banter. I liked their bickering. The hosts all argue like siblings. And like, as Rachel knows, I like to argue with my friends in that same way, picking on each other with love, that kind of thing. And like that kind of banter is amusing to me. And also, I don't dislike cars. I wouldn't call myself a car nut, but like I like going to car shows. I like seeing cool new tech. I think it branches out of liking video games and technology and all that stuff because cars are mostly just really fancy technology at this point. And so I've always liked to hear them talk about cars. And I do like certain kinds of cars. I've been a Porsche fan for a long time, except they're ugly SUV Porsches, which just break my brain and don't make sense. Like, why? If
The Cayenne.
yeah, it's like, if you're going to buy a Porsche, why the hell would you buy a Porsche that looks like a truck? Why? Why? Counterproductive to what, like the Porsche 911 is like the classic car. And then you look at that thing and it's like, bleh.
It sounds like the very same people who deeply enjoy like glamping.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I
like
could see that.
I want the Porsche of trucks. I want a Porsche truck.
Yeah, but so I've enjoyed the show for a long time. Top Gear, while they were on it, had like, I don't know, 19 seasons or some nonsense like that. And so now they've been on Amazon Prime for a while. And then with COVID, the specials have come out even less frequently because like they didn't want to put their staff at risk. They couldn't stay in hotels while they were traveling and things like that. And so they found ways around it. Like at one point, while they're driving through Scotland, they have campers that they have to use because they can't stay in a hotel, and they wreck their campers by doing stupid stunts. And so they're like, well, I guess we'll just go stay in a castle because, Scotland, there are castles everywhere. And they literally just pull over to the castle and stay in the castle
We're
overnight.
fresh out of recreational vehicles. Let's get a castle.
Let's get a castle. And so, I mean, it's fun. It's entertaining. They're really goofy. And the show is kind of the same thing with like different nuances. But it's kind of like comfort food to me in the same way that like Mythbusters was, or like any other kind of reality TV that's obviously not real. Like it's still scripted on some level. But it's comforting. It's like I know them in the same way that I feel like I know Adam Savage or Jamie Hyneman.
Yeah.
Like you spend enough time watching these folks on TV, you feel a companionship to them. It's a parasocial relationship, but I'm not actually trying to be friends with them. But there is this familiarity with those kinds of people in the same way that folks who listen to podcasts, like especially when I listen to podcasts hosted by friends of mine, I'm like, I'm just hanging out with my friends, even though they can't hear me.
It's that familiarity that you already have established. That's why like watching Adam Savage build cool things after watching him blow a bunch of things up as a kid, I'm just like, oh, this is a part of like my formative years. Suddenly I just love explosions, and I love this like nerdy weirdo who understands the science of explosions.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, so I mean, the Grand Tour is a lot of fun. If you have a passing like of cars, or you love cars, like anywhere in between, and then you want to just see a bunch of older goofballs like pick on each other and do fun activities and talk nerdy about cars, it's a really fun watch, and it's on Amazon Prime if you have it. If you don't, no need to give more money to Lord Bezos. But
also, you don't have to.
Yeah,
It's cool.
Yeah, totally.
Figure it out. So, Matt, if you had to describe the Grand Tour using only 3 words, and you cannot use the Grand or Tour to describe it, how would you do so?
Cars, chums. Oh, I don't have the third word though. Laughs.
Cars, chums, laughs. Chuckles.
Chuckles. There we go. Cars, chums,
I'm
chuckles.
here to help you get to that alliteration.
I appreciate it. You know how much I love alliteration.
Thank you. I know. That's why I'm here for you.
And
Sounds lovely. Sounds like I've been watching a lot of trash YouTube. I'm watching like a ton of Brad Mondo, and I feel that way now about this like hairstylist who has opinions about the America's Next Top Model makeovers. I'm just like, oh, you feel like my friend now. Like, tell me everything about box dyes and how they're bad. Don't use box dyes.
Don't use box dyes.
Don't use them.
Pay a professional, or
PSA.
be a professional.
Yeah.
Before we move on to yours, though, I do want to give an honorable mention to something I forgot to shout out at the top of the show.
Yeah.
As of the day we're recording, but you're going to hear this 2 weeks later because we're banking some episodes. Today is the release date of the Guardians of the Galaxy video game, which I'd been very excited about. I was cautiously optimistic about it. It looked really cool, and I really enjoyed Marvel's Avengers and the Spider-Man games. So I picked it up today and I played it for a few hours, and it's a lot of fun. I see a lot of people online going, "Oh, they look like bargain basement versions of the MCU versions," but they're really not. Like, the design is similar because, the actors who portrayed them in the movies did such a good job of embodying those characters. So there's going to be similarities in the look, but it's its own story. I'm only a few hours in. The combat's fun, but not anything mind-blowing. But the story is really endearing already. The characters are written really well. And, I don't know the name of the voice actor who's portraying Drax, but, I didn't think it was possible for someone to overshadow Dave Bautista, who lives in all our hearts. But this gentleman, whose name escapes me at the moment, is doing a great job. And it's just very funny one-liners, the kind of shit you expect. But it's good. It's. I think that if you've been a fan of the other Marvel video game franchises that have come out recently, Guardians of the Galaxy is worth your time. It also is really pretty. I picked it up for the PS5, and I don't have a ton of PS5 games. I mostly been playing PS4 games, which still get up-resed and stuff. But this, sweeping shots that look gorgeous, and also a jukebox soundtrack. So, they licensed a ton of 80s music for this game. So, in the opening screen of the game, Star-Lord's listening to his tape deck and you hear the final countdown. When you're making an escape in one of the early stages. What song was it? I can't remember now. But I Ran starts playing as you're running away from an explosion in the ship and piloting. It's very clever.
Impossible to stream on Twitch.
There is actually a mode in the options where you could turn off all the licensed music.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Good on them.
And the accessibility stuff is through the roof. There's stuff for, tweaking the gameplay. Even if you select a difficulty, you can then still turn things on and off, like QuickTime events and auto-targeting and things like that. It's got some of the best accessibility options I've seen in a while. Subtitles and closed captions and colors for the different characters when they're speaking, all sorts of stuff.
I dig that.
It's really great.
Sounds fun.
And because we've talked about both movies on here at several points, and we're big Marvel fans here, I figured I'd just bring it up. It's fun. I'm enjoying it. And I think if you were on the fence about it, but you really like the Guardians of the Galaxy, you should definitely check it out.
I'm saving all my video game dollars for the Jackbox Party Pack 8.
That's legit. Gotta get those Jack parties.
But I can pivot us beautifully from the Guardians of the Galaxy game into what I witnessed, because I can make a Dave Bautista connection.
Oh, sweet.
I can make a sci-fi universe connection.
Even better.
And I can make a sweeping shots connection, because I watched the new Dune.
Oh, okay.
I did it.
All right.
I beheld the new adaptation of Dune.
I have not seen it yet. It's on the short list on the HBO Max, but
I dearly enjoyed it.
Oh, good. Are you a fan of the book?
It's giving me I haven't read the book.
I was just curious.
But I was a huge fan of Asimov's Foundation series.
Okay.
So that very politically motivated sci-fi fantasy epic. This is you're just changing castles for planets. That's all you're doing here. It is absolutely a fairy story in space. Paul is such a special little boy. It is unbelievable. I don't understand why we don't call the trope a Paul Atreides instead of a Mary Sue, because Paul has it all.
Amazing.
He's got magic powers. He's got a propagandized messianic lineage. They're gonna start a holy war in his name. This isn't any spoilers for any of this, because this book has existed forever. But I loved it, and they just announced today that they're doing part 2. Which is great, because boy oh boy, do you get through a lot of this and go, oh right, we're not even gonna get to the cool fun action, because we're putting all the political pieces in place. We gotta understand a lot of high political concepts here. Woo, Nelly. And then we gotta run and hide for a while. It was great. I loved it. It was a vibe. It was a beautiful vibe in a desert. I'm for it.
Well, I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I've been wanting to watch it. Friends of the show, Abu Safar and Leo Wiggins, do a Dune podcast called Gom Jabbar, which we featured ads for before. And I think they're about to release their 3-hour and 20-minute epic of just talking about the movie, because the lead up, they've been talking about the books and the TV series and like all of the stuff in prep for this movie. And so I'm excited to see the movie and then listen to that one episode of their podcast because I haven't read any of the books, or I've seen the David Lynch movie, but that doesn't really, matter because it didn't make any sense.
Yeah. This made a lot more sense. They really did take their time to sort of establish like character dynamics. And I think that's why like you only get to a certain point in the movie's just like, okay, Frodo and Sam, they're going to Mordor. It's okay.
Yeah.
We'll get back at them soon. It's wild that they hadn't already greenlit like part 2.
Yeah.
Before this came out, because like if they hadn't, this movie would be such a disappointment.
I mean, it would be the Golden Compass all over again. They made that movie, expected it to be a huge hit. It flopped, and then they canceled the other ones.
Yeah, it was really, and I'm really glad that like CG has gotten to the point that you can really like integrate animated assets in with live action assets to just like build this world. Like the sandworms look so neat.
Yeah.
But they don't do like a ton of like effects that like pull you out. Like it really feels like these people are in real places, and I don't know if that's just like speaking to how good the CGI is or if they actually built sets.
Right.
Which I think they did, because there's some shots that are outside and I'm like, you built this weird like treaty signing place and I am in heaven here. But even the CG that they integrate onto like the characters, because there's a technology that exists that like makes a force field around your body.
Right.
And like it usually shines blue unless you're like in danger, then it becomes red. And it is a phenomenal way to get across like high stakes gore without doing like blood and guts, because all of a sudden like someone who's dying, their like force field's just turning red on you. It is so pretty, and everyone is doing such a great job. I wish they had written Jessica, the mom, a little bit better. She kind of feels secondary and not like complex enough. I really feel I need to watch it again because it's really dense, but I spent a lot of time just being like, I hope we meet Zendaya soon. I hope we actually meet her. She sounds rad. I've heard a lot about her. And then Jessica's just like there and scared, but like a good fighter,
right?
I just wish that there was more of her like internal life like put on screen, considering how much she is there,
right?
But it's all about Paul.
What's that?
Everything's about Paul in this.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that this movie was going to be a success when they announced Fortnite skins of Paul and Jess. So
That's how you know.
That's how you know.
Secret announcements relevant to the plot featured in Fortnite.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. I do want to see it. I don't have the hype that a lot of other folks do because I never read the books. But like, I mean, it looked good. The cast is incredible. Like, just an incredibly stacked all-star cast. And so, like, plus, how can I not see a movie with a character named Duncan Idaho? Man,
Duncan
the
Idaho,
balls
yeah,
to name a character that in a sci-fi movie.
It's buck wild, to be honest, where you've got people like Leto Atreides, and then like Duncan Idaho.
Yeah. I'm also excited.
The Harkonnens and Jessica.
I'm also excited to see it because we all love Daddy. Oscar Isaac's here. We're all a fan, and I hear he looks super fine in this movie.
Ooh, wow, everybody looks so good in this movie. Everybody. Momoa looks good. Skarsgård doesn't look good, but he's not supposed to look good. But he looks good in how bad he looks. Like,
but is Sting in it?
No, Sting isn't in it. But like, he's melting. It's great. Oh, this movie looks so good. I saw it at home. Because, like, movie theater schedules are not conducive to podcasting anymore. But it is one that I'm like, I do want to go see it again just to, like, really take in the scope.
Yeah.
Because they are very cognizant of, like, the scope of this. Like, the desert looks immense. The homeworld of the Atreides house is just, like, this beautiful gray and green, like, Celtic. Oh, I just want to live in all the places they go. You know you did it right when I want to go vacation in all the places you show me.
I mean,
Sandworms be damned.
I'm here for it. I mean, like, I'm excited to watch it. You know, we haven't really had a franchise like Lord of the Rings since Lord of the Rings, and I'm kind of hoping this will be that, because, like, again, with Lord of the Rings, I didn't really read the books. I've said this before, I'm not a giant Tolkien fan. His writing is just too dense and slow for me, but I loved those movies. And then, like, there are other franchises that tried to do the same thing, and I love the Matrix trilogy for a whole different host of reasons, but the Matrix trilogy never felt epic in the same way Lord of the Rings felt epic, like this massive undertaking. Of course, the Hobbit movies were not great, and so, like, you know, and the new Star Wars stuff I've really liked. Like, I know it has its issues, but I still really enjoyed it. But none of it has felt as epic as the Lord of the Rings. Like, those movies were just events. And so I'm hoping that Dune, like, if we can ever get out from under this pandemic, I hope that Dune gets that kind of hype, because I like those kind of sweeping epics, and we don't get them as much as I would like, because the Marvel movies don't hit that level all the time. Some of them do. Like, for sure, Endgame felt the way the Lord of the Rings felt, like, because it was the end of this epic story. But, like, they don't all feel that way. It's not like a concise trilogy, and I like the idea.
The way that Lord of the Rings, like, sets these stakes from the jump, where you're just like, long ago, some nasty dude made a bunch of rings, and, like, he wants to kill everybody. So, like, just be aware. Here's this nice place that you don't want everyone to die at. Stakes set. Yeah. Let's go. You know, like.
And so for Dune, I feel
digs deep.
Yeah. And so I feel like Dune can kind of reach those heights again, and so I'm excited to see it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I've been seeing it be pretty unanimous that folks are enjoying it, which is always nice. And, like, I was happy, like I mentioned to Boo and Leo earlier, like, they're diehard Dune fans, and so seeing them come out of the movie being excited as loyal fans to this source material, I'm like, oh, okay, great. So then I'll probably really enjoy it too.
Yeah, it definitely needs a part 2 though. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, for a second, like, this is all set up in, like, a major way.
Interesting.
Wow.
Interesting. Well,
wow. But it's great. But the action's great. It's really fun.
Cool. Well, if you had to sum up Dune in just 3 words without using the word Dune, you can't even use it once, let alone 3 times. Yeah. What words would you use to describe this movie?
All about Paul.
Love it. That's good.
All about Paul. That, or it's part 1.
both accurate descriptions.
It's absolutely factual. It's part 1. Go in knowing that this is part 1. There will be a part 2, so it's okay if you, like, look and you're like, there's an hour left and we are not even. Where are we? What is happening?
Love it.
Ooh, it's a slow burn. It's taking its time. Like, it's luxuriating, and, like, do you want to know about the the magic ladies who, like, implant propaganda into societies to perpetuate their own supremacy throughout the galaxy? We got a little bit of that for you, but also it's all about Paul.
Amazing. I love that. Well, all right. Awesome. Well, now we shall move on to our incredible guest, Josh. Josh, what is the most recent thing that you have watched?
Well, you know, before I dive into the cheesy horror movie that I watched this afternoon, I wanted to tell you all about something crazy that blew my mind. You probably already knew this because y'all are movie buffs and everything, but this blew my mind. So I was reading, this is on Reddit. It was like an old Reddit. And so I'm a big Terminator fan. And I didn't know until 2 days ago that originally the actor that was supposed to play the Terminator was O.J. Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
And that Arnold went out for the role of Kyle Reese.
Yep.
Think about how insane that would have been. How would that have played out?
It would have been a totally different movie. I don't know that we would have gotten the franchise that we have now if that happened.
We wouldn't have. No, it would have. Like, I was just thinking, like, we never would have gotten.
Okay, so were the murders before or after T2? I think they were about around the same time.
Alleged, we should say.
Right, alleged.
Yeah, alleged.
Right. But anyways, that blew my mind, and that's what I've been thinking about for the past couple of days as far as movies and all that stuff.
Oh my gosh.
So today I was on Netflix and I watched Creep 2.
Creep?
And before, have you seen Creep 2?
No.
And Creep 2 as in it's a sequel to Creep 1?
Creep
One.
one.
To Creep.
Okay.
So the first one's called Creep. Creep is awesome.
Uh-huh.
So Creep is about this guy that posts a Craigslist ad looking for a man to come videotape him because his wife has just died and he's going through all these emotional things and he wants to like create this video for like his child who is a baby staying with his mother, and it all turns out it's just a lie and he's just messing with this guy and he's a murdering weirdo. That's the first one. The first one's awesome, but the second one, basically, it's the same premise, except this time it's a lady and she's kind of on top of her game, you know. She kind of like, her whole angle is she has a web show where she does basically she meets creepy people online and films it, and that's kind of the premise of it. And so, you know, in the first film, the creep, you know, the boogeyman or whatever, he scares the shit out of the guy a lot. And in the second one, she's just kind of like, yeah, I know your games, whatever. Like, this is my thing. It was one of those movies, you know, I don't know. It's kind of weird. If you ever watch a scary movie that isn't scary, you're just kind of like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, this is just people being kind of awkward.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when you don't have...
Yeah.
I mean, imagine watching Scream and not being scared. Like, it would just be goofy if it
Right.
wasn't scary.
Yeah.
But that unknown makes it super scary, and the jump scares are really strong in that. But yeah, I can't imagine watching a horror movie that's trying to be scary and it's not. Must feel pretty like you're like a third wheel in a room that you don't want to be in, almost.
Right, especially the protagonist isn't scared either.
Uh-huh.
And she's just like, this is lame. Like, through the whole movie, and then it just is.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
That's
the
like
end.
being in a musical and being like, I'm in a musical. I hate it. I hate being in this musical. I don't want to sing in this musical that
I'm pretty sure it was a Netflix original film.
Oh, okay. Was the
yeah.
first film also a Netflix film or only the sequel?
I'm not sure,
Okay.
but the first one was so much better because I went into it not expecting anything,
Right.
and it was scary. It got you.
Yeah.
It was because the guy had no idea. You know, if you would answer an ad where for $1,000 you would film someone just tell their story,
Yeah.
and then they just try to keep you there through weird, you know, things and just start acting like a weirdo for no reason. But no, that was it. And so, yeah, I watched that this afternoon, you know, and yeah, it was pretty crappy.
I'm sorry that you had I'm sorry you had a crappy movie experience. Are you?
But you know, hey, it's what's that?
I was gonna say, are you a big horror fan?
I'm not a big horror fan, but I like it.
Okay.
You know, especially in October. You know, you want to watch some scary movies. It's Halloween.
Totally.
Uh,
Yeah. I just, and is this a recent release? Creep 2?
I'm not really sure. Yeah, I didn't do my homework. I just hit it.
No,
and
I mean,
click
sometimes
play.
that's all a
Could.
movie is to be like, hey.
Go to
Right,
the
right.
IMDb machine and find this out.
I mean, the IMDb
See
machine
when-
will tell us.
Yes, the IMDb machine will provide. Creep 2.
Right.
2017.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of
That's-
old,
yeah.
huh?
Not that, I mean,
I was thinking that's pretty recent to be like, we're a horror movie that doesn't care. Yeah, that's pretty late in the Blumhouse game to make a bad horror movie.
yeah. Wild.
Weird.
I mean, I've heard that some of the Netflix horror stuff just kind of falls short. I'm not a big horror buff,
Yeah.
so like I couldn't really compare. I mean, the last Netflix quote unquote horror movie I watched was Death Note, and it was mostly because Willem Dafoe plays the creature from who enacts the acts of the Death Note. And like I wanted to see that nonsense. And it was not good, but I still enjoyed it. It was fun. Like it did the one thing that horror can do if it's not scary is if it's funny. Like at least then you can like get entertainment out of it. And this horror film wasn't terribly scary, but was definitely like just made me laugh with how ridiculous it was. Also, like, whenever Willem Dafoe is in anything, he's just Willem Dafoe as whatever that thing is, and that's always comical.
It's just great.
Willem Dafoe is Jesus.
Well, he is. All I can think about it with Willem Dafoe is the underrated gem moment of him yelling, "There was a firefight" in Boondock Saints. It's a great isolated moment in a trash fire of a film.
Yeah,
but
never
like,
go back and
I think
watch
that's
that movie.
No, don't go
It's
back.
bad.
Don't go back.
It's bad.
No.
Did not age well.
No way. But yeah, so Creep was kind of a disappointment.
No,
Ryan.
Creep was
Or
great.
Creep 2 was kind of
Creep
Creep 2
2 was a
was
disappointment. But Creep, I totally recommend
Okay,
Creep.
all right.
Creep the
And that's why I was
first.
so pumped about this
Yeah.
because Creep was so good.
Yeah.
Like it was scary. It was different, but then Creep 2 was just like, eh. But you'll get that with horror sequels, you know.
I mean,
true.
I feel like a lot of franchise sequels can be hit or miss. Like, we take for granted the kind of Disney machine, and for the most part, their movies at worst are only okay, with some exceptions. Like, the Marvel machine usually puts out decent sequels, and some of the movies have gotten better over the years. But like a lot of franchises, like, I mean, we mentioned Terminator earlier. Like, Terminator 1 was fine, Terminator 2 was great, and then Terminator 3 was bad, and then Salvation was
Terrible.
bad, and like the most recent one wasn't too bad. I actually liked the most recent one, but that's also because they brought Linda Hamilton back, and like she's amazing. Well,
Did you like Genesis? Part 5?
Genesis was fine. I thought it was more interesting than Salvation was. And then I actually liked the Sarah Connor Chronicles. I thought the TV show was
I loved Sarah Connor Chronicles.
I thought that the TV show was pretty good.
Summer Glau. Woo.
Amazing.
She was
I
great.
loved her.
Cameron.
Oh my god. Yeah, that was good.
You
stuff.
watched Firefly, right?
No, I haven't. She's in it.
Yeah,
She's
she
in
is
it.
in it.
Yeah,
She's great in
She's
Firefly.
great. That's a great show. It's a great
show.
little 13 episode, John.
Yeah, sure is. Well,
Ugh, it breaks my heart.
Josh.
It's over.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, Firefly's never coming back, and we kind of just gotta let that one go. But you know,
It's forever in our hearts.
forever in our hearts. But Josh, if you had to sum up Creep 2 without the words creep or the word two,
Or two.
what 3 words would you just use to describe this movie?
Big Halloween disappointment.
There you go. All right, breaking out some big words.
That's literally how I defined my 2020.
Big Halloween disappointment.
Big Halloween disappointment.
Look,
It's one after another.
I don't care if I'm not going out on Halloween. I'm still dressing up as Luigi, and nobody can stop me. That's how I feel
proud
about
of
that.
you.
Hand out.
I've not selected a costume. It's fine.
It's fine. Yeah.
I'll pull something out of the
I mean,
I
you
can't,
do
can't
have
me.
a Scarlet Witch cosplay like at the ready.
I do.
So like,
Yeah. That's my insurance policy against creative juices.
And you
not
have
flowing.
a Bowie mask right
there you go.
It's also it's too much crap in my house for me not to have a costume
I was
on
gonna say.
hand. Chewbacca is wearing a Pokemon trainer
I was
hat.
gonna
What am
say.
I supposed to do?
Yeah.
My house is ridiculous.
This is a great gag for the audio listener
Yeah.
who can't see all the things
Yeah,
you're pointing
who can't
to.
see.
But at least you said what
Nope.
they were, so they could visualize it themselves.
They can imagine.
Yeah. Rachel has the
Follow me on Twitter. You'll see all of this shit in the background of all my selfies. Come on.
I mean, Rachel has the severed head of Chewbacca. Nobody, I mean, the moon crushed him, and now she has his head. Like,
Yeah.
It's just how that goes.
he wants to be the very best, like no one ever was.
No one ever was.
It's true.
Josh, I'm so happy to have you on the show. My first question for you is, what was it like being the older brother of Rachel growing up? Was she delightful?
Oh, God. So I was the bad kid. She was the good kid. So we're 8 years apart, right? So when she started kindergarten, I was a freshman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, I was such a terrible... Speaking of movies, I used to scare her. I used to have this Puppet Master 3 poster in my room.
I hated that poster so much.
Puppet Master threw a blade and torch and like pinhead and 6-shooter and I told her when I was so bad, I was like, if you come in my room, the puppets are gonna come out and get you.
Oh, you're so mean.
I was so mean. I told her, I was like, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't even bring up Puppet Master. It's
okay.
that's probably my favorite horror franchise because it's so
love
cheesy
puppets
and funny.
now.
Yeah,
like, are you
that's true.
kidding? I've
She
grown
probably
past
hates it.
Also, me, even as scared as I was of those puppets on the poster, it did not stop me from sneaking into your room and stealing just taking all the spare change off your floor.
Yeah.
Because I knew that's where the money was, and I was like, I'll take this risk for wealth. I'll risk these puppets coming out and killing me. It's fine.
I feel like that's how it goes.
I gotta buy candy.
I feel like that's how it goes with older brothers. My brother is 9 years older than me, and so like when I was I don't know, a teenager, when the PlayStation first came out, I didn't have one, but he did. I bought the N64. Some might argue the smarter choice, but when I know he'd be out for a long period of time, I'd go to the block. I think it was a Hollywood Video near us, and like rent a PlayStation game and just sit in his room and play, and have my dad tell me when he was coming home. He caught me once in a while and would like get really mad and throw me out, and then it didn't stop me. I would still do it and use this PlayStation, which he never used. So, you know, he had like 2 games, a Tetris game and the Dukes of Hazzards game. And
I have a funny Rachel story I gotta tell.
please.
This is hilarious.
Yes, let's do
I'm
it.
so
One
stressed.
day, this guy calls me, it calls the house, right? And he's like, I got a message on my answering machine from a little girl saying her name was Crystal and she has a stinky butthole. And I was like, I have no idea what you're
Prank
talking
calling.
about, man. And I think Rachel was probably like 6 or 7 and pranked some random guy and left a message on his answering machine saying, "Hi, my name's Crystal and I have a stinky butthole."
Yeah, I think it was.
Do you remember that?
Me and my childhood friend Brandy. We were doing prank calls, but we didn't really understand. Like you had to like do a setup.
Right.
Payoff, and we were just like, what's funnier than a stinky butthole? Nothing in the whole world is funnier than
I love that.
just calling people. At least you need to make up fake names.
Yeah, that's true. You did make a fake name.
Yeah. Very stinky.
Yeah,
This tiny child is a very stinky butthole.
it's funny. I feel like prank calls are a thing that don't really exist anymore, right? Because cell phones have
Right.
caller ID, and like most
Yeah,
houses
they just like
do.
instantly like push unknown numbers
Yeah.
into like your spam folder. Yeah, it's really hard.
I know, it's a lost art, right?
I guess you can only prank call businesses.
Oh, yeah, that's
at this
true.
point because they'd have to answer.
That's true, they
but
do.
like, don't do that.
No.
That would be mean to like some person who's just working.
Yeah,
Let him be.
when the census
Let 'em
when the
abide.
census people would call my house when I was younger, like to like ask how many people live in the house and like do the stupid quiz to get like how many people live in your house, and I'd go, well, it depends what you consider living, you know, do the bodies in the basement count? And they would just like hang up. They'd just click. I'm like, oh, all right. You know, bye. Now I don't have to talk to you. I'm sure I'm not on a list
No.
somewhere. Why would I be?
Well, you know, aren't we all? Just from us being on this podcast, I am on at least 7 or 8 watch lists.
I mean, you know, the FBI agents who
Oof.
spy on us probably know all the things that we've done wrong.
they're probably half our listenership at this
Yeah,
point.
that's true.
How I feel about presidents in general, forget about it. But Josh, I do wanna chat with you because I didn't just bring you on this podcast because you're my brother. I mean, yes, I brought you on this podcast because you're my brother, but you also went to film school. And
I
so,
did.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
went
did go
to
to film school.
Went to Full Sail.
I did, yeah. Like
and-
20 years ago.
And
yeah.
I really wanted to know, like, what sort of led you to the decision of enrolling in Full Sail, and second question to that you can marinate on when you answer the first one, how did it alter the way that you like watch movies?
Yeah,
Like-
it absolutely did. So the reason I wanted to go is because I wanted to make a bunch of cheesy, crazy movies. Like my dream was to make trauma movies. You know,
Of course,
and I was
sure,
like,
yeah.
I want to go do this, right? Yeah, it really. Once I learned about lighting and camera work and everything, a lot of times I'm taken out of movies because I know, like, I'm thinking too much about that light is there, this light is over there, that's the key light,
Right.
that's the backlight. And it sometimes it really takes me out of it. So for me, you know, the movies I love are good story, good acting, good directing. It doesn't matter the genre or who's in it or whatever. But if you have a good story and good acting and good direction, you know, it's a good film. But yeah, I don't know. But what led me to finally, like, I did that. I made my student films. I made some music videos. I worked in television for a while, and then I got the opportunity to go to Japan, and so I just kind of said, forget this, and went and taught English for like a decade.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, in Tokyo. But you know, I think about that stuff a lot, like, Because when I was a kid, I really wanted to make all these cheesy, crazy movies, and now it's hilarious because now I'm just whatever. I couldn't care less about that, but like now it's so easy for kids to do. Like they don't have to go to film school. They just get a laptop and figure out like get a lighting package and use their phone.
iMovie, like.
Yeah, it is much easier to do it these days. Just the barrier to entry for any media creation. I mean, podcasting too. Like if you have an iPhone, you can record yourself talking about something and then export it and edit it. The access to technology, I think, has made a lot of that stuff much easier. But I have to imagine, going to film school and learning everything you learned makes you look at movies and all media a little differently. And I imagine it must be a blessing and a curse, right? Because I'm sure you also sometimes are like, brain, just let me watch this thing and enjoy it and not nitpick it and pull it apart.
Yeah, exactly. And the best thing for me that I learned was I was on our final project. I was the first AC, and so I got to load the Panavision reels in the tent. Mm-hmm. And so I learned how to do that, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah, explain that, because like we're at such a point where like digital filming is a thing. Like this is fucking wild. Like how they had to like do film reels on set.
Yeah, so I mean a film reel, like 35 millimeter film, it's $500 a reel for raw film. And that's like, I don't even remember, like 11 minutes or something stupid. Mm-hmm. And so what you got to do is you got to put the reel of film and the magazine in a tent, because if it's exposed to light, it's done, right? The film. So you put your arms in this tent that zips up, and you have to put the film in the magazine, and you have to, it's almost like a sewing machine where you got to weave it into itself, and then you put the lid on and you close it, and then you open up the tent and you load it in the camera. Yeah, I mean that was a lot of fun. I guess some films still do that, but yeah, $500 for 11 minutes, it's crazy. And IMAX stuff, like 70 millimeter, that stuff is $1 per frame.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy.
No wonder those films have such gigantic budgets. A lot of it.
Yeah, just to pay for the film, and to think that like one slip up, you've wrecked an entire canister. Like just the fact that you have to essentially thread in like a sewing machine without being able to see what you're doing. Like that's absolutely the most incredible talent I've ever heard.
That's wild. Yeah, I mean, I imagine with digital now, everything is so much easier. But I feel like there's always this, I don't know, quality is the right word, but like this inherent certain something to film and using regular film and how different that looks. Like I love digital pictures, but I kind of miss developing, here I'm going to get on my old man soapbox. I miss developing
Here we go.
rolls of film because like often, at least when I was growing up, when I had a camera, like I would take pictures whenever I could think to take them, and then like the roll would finish, I'd put it in the tube and I'd put it off on like my desk or wherever and kind of forget about it for 6 months, and then I'd go, I should get this developed, and then you get it developed, and then you look through all the photos and you're like, I remember that, or this was cool. Why did I take a picture of my thumb? Like all of that stuff. Now it's like I don't.
Why did I take a picture of my thumb 6 months ago while I'm cleaning out my phone storage? Because I'm out.
Like analog world is it's such a pain in the ass, but it's so warm and beautiful, But it's so much effort. To get there. But like it's fluffy. It's like 70s orange carpet. It's so warm.
Yeah, I guess for me, like I miss taking pictures. I miss watching DVDs or VHS. I just feel like it's more of like an event, whereas like now where you can just turn on a TV and play. And like, don't get me wrong, I love the convenience of it too. Like being able, especially like my Nintendo Switch, being able to download a game instantly the night it comes out and then play it right away is great. But I miss some of the collecting and the like today when I bought the Guardians of the Galaxy game earlier. Like it was kind of fun to go to a GameStop and trade in a game I didn't want, and like literally a game I got that I didn't want, and like put it towards the game and then get home with the game and open the box and put it in the drive. Like it's just, there's something about the tech.
Lick the cartridge.
Right, exactly.
Don't.
Do either of
Don't
you
lick the
remember
cartridge.
midnight releases for albums?
Oh yeah, for albums, video
Yeah.
games,
Getting so
movies.
For
pumped, right?
books,
Midnight,
even
yeah.
like.
Yeah, lining up outside. The one I remember the most is Halo. When Halo 2 was coming out, I stood in line. My GameStop was in a mall in Staten Island, and they couldn't line us up inside because then people could go to the other stores, and like they couldn't keep track of you. They made us line up outside, and then would escort us through the mall to the GameStop and then back out. And it was just this wildest thing. And like people would walk by and go, "What are you waiting for?" Nothing. There's a line. I don't know what you're talking about. You know, it's just like I remember going to midnight releases of movies. The first Transformers movie, I remember seeing at midnight. The second Pirates of the Caribbean movie, seeing at midnight. Now, like you couldn't pay me to go to a midnight release. I'd fall asleep during it. Like
Yeah, you can barely get me to go to a 9 p.m. showing.
Same.
Of a movie that's already been out for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, no, that's late. I'm asleep.
What was the first movie you two saw in the theater in your life?
First movie. I can tell you my most memorable first movie experience because it stands out. And I don't know if we've told this story on the show, but that's a great question, Josh.
I don't think so. Yeah, that's a good question.
My dad took me. So I was.
You should have a podcast.
I was growing up. I loved Disney stuff. You know, my first Disney soundtrack was Oliver and Company, and like, you know, Aladdin was my favorite Disney movie for a long time. But one of the first movies my dad took me to see in the theaters was Roger Rabbit. I was really excited. It was cartoon and live action, and like my dad's like, "Oh, he'll love this movie." And I was having a great time, laughing the whole time, enjoying the characters, enjoying, you know, the writing, all of it. Like, I just having a blast. And then the scene happens where we find out the truth of Doom and who he really is. And his voice goes up, and his eyes pop out and turn to daggers, and I lose my mind. I must have been, I don't know, 3 or 4. Maybe younger, hysterical crying, freaking out, flailing. I'm terrified, like literal horror movie, flight or flight action. And my dad had to drag me out and take me home. Like I just lost it. And I wouldn't go to the movie theater for years. I was just afraid that the guy from the movie was going to get me. Like terrified, legit terrified of the movie theater for no reason. I've of course watched Roger Rabbit many times since. It's one of my favorite movies, but like... And like watching it now, I'm like, I was an idiot. This is dumb. There's nothing scary about it. It's Christopher Lloyd. He's great.
Yeah, but like your tiny little baby brain.
handle
Just,
it.
It's
like,
pretty creepy though when his
it's
eyes
actually-
pop out.
It's pretty, especially after like you've been lulled into like a sense of like cartoon aesthetic comfort. You know, to suddenly have like some Beetlejuice bullshit happening at you and you're just not prepared. Like you haven't been primed for it.
So yeah, well, I can't remember the first movie I've seen. That's the first memorable movie experience I had.
Yeah, I'm trying to tap my memory banks and I got nothing.
Really?
I'm like, maybe it was Aladdin. Maybe I have more visceral memories of particular moments while I'm in movies and not really like a sense of order. Like I will always have visceral memories of like going to the drive-in, you know, and I can't remember which movies I saw necessarily, but just like that feeling of like tuning the radio to like the station that had the movie on it. And you're like listening to the radio to hear your movie. Just wild stuff. Or like getting so upset watching the animated feature Troll in Central Park that I shouted "you bastard" at the TV, and my father got so mad at me for cursing, and I was like, but I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. You know, it's more just like moments that capture and like lock themselves in my mind, like a Polaroid of something that's just like kind of sitting there. So I can't really say. Josh, do you remember the first movie you went to see?
Oh,
E.T.
good one.
E.T.
E.T. freaked me out as
Me
a
too.
kid.
I couldn't wait for the
hated
monster. I
it.
was like, I want to see the monster. I want to see the monster.
That's a good ass movie.
Oh, it's a great
That
movie.
holds up. I watched it a couple years ago, and I was afraid, you know, like it's kid actors that, you know, have grown up to have successful careers, but like you're not sure, and you know, but it like the practical effects will always age better than old CG. New CG is great. Like the newer stuff now will probably age fine, but like old movies age much harder, old CG, than physical. Like, I can watch the original Star Wars, I can watch E.T., 2001, a bunch of other things. Like, the practical effects just age so well, and like E.T. looks so good still, like as a monster, as a creature design. Yeah, I love that movie.
And even like bad practical effects have more warmth. I think that's a really great way to put it. It has a lot more warmth to it because like you can feel someone's craftsmanship in it. Even if it doesn't look great, like, Godzilla looks kind of bad. This is like this like suit, but you're just like, oh, someone is in a suit giving a performance here. Yeah. And while like I don't want to discount the craft of like chroma keying or like early CG effects artists, like they were breaking new ground and like they are talented artists, it doesn't feel the same as like like we have such dumb little monkey brains. We're just like, I understand that somebody like sewed this piece of garbage together, but I can't really like wrap my head around someone like pointing and clicking to make like an ugly ass spaceship,
Yeah.
Speaking of ET, have you Run the Jewels, the hip hop
Oh, hell
group?
yeah. I love Run the Jewels.
Have you seen so they did a remix of one of their songs with Lil Wayne, and the cover art is LP in a bicycle like E.T. and Lil Wayne in the basket dressed up as E.T.
That's amazing.
I love that.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, it's funny going back to what you were
beautiful.
saying, Rachel. Like, I feel like video games have the same awkward stage. Like, think about how great most Super Nintendo games look. The sprite art's really bright and colorful. And, like, I think about how well Super Metroid has aged. It's just vibrant and really cool and really spooky. But then you look at, like, the PlayStation N64 era, and while they were pioneering, and I still love a lot of those games, the blocky art was the best they could do. And, like I love Final Fantasy VII, but, like, seeing those Popeye-looking motherfuckers with their, like, weird arm shape to make them look like actual people.
Yeah.
And it's like, whereas now everything both is as realistic as it could ever be, but also we're still making games with sprite art. And like, I like that we have that diversity, but I feel like there's no in between where people aren't purposely making polygon people, more or less. And like, I feel like in movies too, we're at that point too. Like, it's the best it's ever looked. And like, think about Groot and how good Groot looks in all, in both Guardians movies and in like, Endgame. Like he just,
to bring it back to Dune, even like there's a shot of like a spaceship like emerging from the water, and just the way that they have like crafted this like completely digitally fabricated thing to look like it's rising and like hit that like apex of like when the water breaks and it comes out, and it looks so beautiful that you're just like, that's not real, but it looks so real.
Yeah, it's why with the superhero movies, like if I'm gonna have things that aren't real, like I'd rather go the route of Venom, where like they're just so ridiculous looking, the symbiotes, that like I can wrap my brain around it. I think we finally hit a point now where when Spider-Man is swinging around in the city, it looks like a person. But like, you rewatch Spider-Man 1 and 2, and it looks pretty good. And Tobey's, like the mocap is pretty good, but you can still tell it's a CG person. And like, I feel like when we're doing fantastical stuff, it's just gotten so much better. And same with horror movies. Like, I feel like the old practical effects and newer CG are the best, but like the in-between years when they were trying to do like CG, like I think about watching Jason X. Have you ever seen Jason X, the Jason movie in space? Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. And like, it's a lot of practical effects, but there is some CG in it. And it just has not, it wasn't a great movie to begin with, but it has not aged well. And so like, I feel like we're kind of like, but I kind of hope that we'll go back to some practical stuff. Like, I know the new Star Wars movies used a lot of practical effects. Like, I like the tactile nature of like this thing actually existing in space,
Yeah.
Like, CG Yoda will never compare to Puppet Yoda. The fact that they brought Puppet Yoda back in the third of the new Star Wars movies was like, that's what you needed to do. That's what you do.
Yeah, again, it's that almost like the fantastical element of this tiny little green monster that like knows how to lift ships with his brain. It feels more grounded when it's just like a human being dictating the movements within, like people agreeing that like, okay, this is how the eyes move, like I think it lets us transcend something that's so uncanny because we are so grounded in it is in a space, and the physics that we possess right now made this possible.
Yeah, totally. Josh, before we let you go, I'm curious, what are some of your favorite kinds of movies? Do you have a favorite genre, or like even a favorite movie of all time that like jumps to the front of your mind as like?
Favorite movie all time is probably Goodfellas.
Right,
I love
that's a good
gangster
choice.
movies. I really
That's a good
do.
choice.
I love that movie. I've seen it so many times. But with that being said, I mean, probably my favorite genre is comedy.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I will gravitate towards a comedy almost any time. Like, I have to be in the mood for action, depending on the action movie, or for sure drama or horror. But like a comedy, I'll always like if I'm flipping channels and like Princess Bride is on, or Army of Darkness is on, or like a good comedy. And I feel like a lot of comedies, like or Ghostbusters, which is one of my favorite comedies. Like those kinds of movies, I can always sit and watch. Do you have a favorite comedy, Josh?
Favorite comedy? I mean, my go-to, of course, my whole life is Spaceballs.
Good one.
Like, I love it.
Spaceballs rule.
I'll never. The first time I saw that movie when it came out, and I was like 10, and I laughed until I was in tears. Like my stomach hurt. Like, Spaceballs, the toilet paper. Ah!
Spaceballs is one of the few movies that I could probably quote from start to finish. When I was a kid, I watched it on loop. And also like growing.
Oh my God, Comb the Desert, and they've got a giant comb. I just can't.
We ain't found shit.
Yeah,
Right?
Just like, well, for me also, like I've grown up into this pride for Mel Brooks because I'm Jewish, and like he's one of the most famous Jewish creators, and like
he's a badass,
and has been so funny. And while the religious side of Judaism, I come and go with, but like the culture and all of that, and it's so ingrained in his movies. And like I love all of his movies. Some are better than others, but like I Spaceballs, Robin Hood Men in Tights, like these are movies that I watched over and over again, and the jokes are still funny now, and they're not age related, and you don't have to like the Pizza the Hut stuff. Like I just,
right?
it's all.
What a great puppet!
What a great puppet!
Why didn't somebody tell me my ass was this big?
It's just so good. I used to do the President's Group salute, all the time.
Yeah.
It's just, or my favorite is whenever like putting like I used to have luggage with combinations, and I my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just like what kind of idiot would have? It's the cast is so good, like, so good. And R.I.P. John.
Remember to change the combination on my luggage.
like John Candy as Barf, like.
Oh yeah.
Just my heart.
Oh, I love John Candy.
So like he's made some of my favorite movies. I loved Cool Runnings. I love Trains, Planes, and Automobiles.
I literally watch
Uncle Buck.
Cool Runnings every time I spent the night at our grandma's house.
Really?
Like, any time I would stay the night at grandma's house, I was like, and that means I get to watch Cool Runnings.
Every time I spent the night at grandma's house, we always watched The Toy with Richard Pryor.
Oh my.
Boy.
Yeah.
All right. That's
Wow.
a different
Right.
tone.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
That's a film that definitely hasn't aged well, but it was out there.
I'm unsure if Cool
I didn't
Runnings
make
has
it.
aged well. I hope.
I think Cool Runnings has aged well, but as not a person of color, I'm not going to make that statement. I will trust someone else to probably have a better analysis of that. But I remember it being pretty great and pretty,
Yeah, it was an inspirational sports movie. I wasn't a big like sports movie fan, but I loved that movie.
I love sports movies more than I'll ever love sports. Like I loved Rookie of the Year, Angels in the Outfield. Even more recently, like Moneyball. Like I'm fascinated in the stories about sports more than, and of course the classic sports movie Space Jam, the first one. I haven't.
I thought you were gonna say A League of Their Own, which
also
is
quite
quite a sports.
That's
movie.
a comedy that I.
What a great sports comedy. Though.
I rewatched.
Wow.
I rewatched A League of Their Own recently with my spouse's side of the family when we were away on holiday together, and I forgot what a shit Tom Hanks is in that movie. Like it blew my mind because he's always just playing the nicest guys, and he is just such a shitheel in that movie.
He's awful
until like
in
the
it. It's
last
great.
act of the movie, he's the worst. And I was like,
Were you living in Evansville when that movie was filmed?
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
there with you and Mom.
Were you-
in the crowd? Yeah.
were you?
Yeah, yes, I was. I was in 8th grade. I totally remember it.
I don't remember
seeing
that.
Tom Hanks and Madonna and Rosie O'Donnell, and I yelled at Tom Hanks. and-
Amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, weren't you telling me, Rachel, that you were like you're in one of the scenes, right? You're in a shot.
My mom and I are like in the far bleachers of this like old ball field we have.
Maybe you guys went every day.
Yeah, I think
Because
we
I
went,
only
like,
got
a
to go
lot.
one day because I was in school
Right.
and everything. But you were
Yeah,
super
but
little.
we were.
like-
I was tiny, so like
You
I
were
think,
doing like 4.
yeah. Mom
Yeah.
took me there. Like
That's
like,
amazing.
dressed me up as a little Rockford Peach every day.
Aw. You should
Yeah.
totally. Why don't you have a Rockford Peaches outfit? That seems like a thing you totally would have.
I'm working on it.
There you go. Halloween
There you go,
costume.
Halloween.
There you go. I just gotta find it.
just gotta find it.
and not just like a cheap
No,
one.
no.
I want like a
It's gotta be
nice, like
quality.
actually
No, I
like
agree.
quality made one.
How about
So.
this? If you ever
It'll come to me eventually.
If you ever get a Rockford Peaches outfit, I'll get one of the Coach outfits and dress as Tom Hanks, and we can do a friend's
Perfect.
costume.
Yeah. Oh my
They
gosh.
get their own cosplay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just wander around.
I love that.
Well, Josh, thank you for joining us. This
Perfection.
has been a whole
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Thanks, Josh.
No, thanks for having me.
I don't know if you have an internet presence or want folks to find you anywhere or chat with you anywhere online. If not, that's a-okay. But if you do, feel free to shout out where you want folks to find you.
No.
Perfect.
Don't look for me.
No? Perfect. Excellent.
look for
I
Josh.
respect that. It's funny
A wise choice.
A wise choice. We have another co-host on the network, Sam Alicia, who hosts Another Pass with Case Aiken. Case Aiken, one of our favorite producers on the network,
Hi, Case.
is literally everywhere on the internet. And at the end of every episode, when they're doing like where you can find them, Sam will be like, "You can't find me anywhere. Just go find Case. Complain to him." And I'm like, that's the smart move. That's the smart move. Well,
Yeah.
Josh, it's been a pleasure to have you. Please come back sometime.
Yeah, thanks,
This
Josh.
was lovely.
Yeah.
Get a little
All right.
insight to the Rachel experience.
Maybe we'll do like a special like Spaceballs episode.
I would love
and we'll
that.
just like watch that movie and just
I would
like
love that. That'd be a lot of fun.
go in. Why not?
Why not? I'm sure it's aged
The
well.
Spinners.
Ooh.
The Spinners did the theme
That's-
song.
yeah.
It's probably a song they don't perform much live anymore. I wonder.
Yeah, I wonder too. But we have one final question to ask you, Josh. But before we do that,
All right.
we're going to thank some
Yeah.
folks. So, Rachel, let's
Yes.
do that.
I shall. Thank you so much to John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Rimble. What a smash. I love it. Good song.
I would also like to thank the incredible Kitty Bug, who designed our awesome show art.
Yeah, and thanks to the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for once again not firing us from being in the ranks.
Yes.
In the Discord, on the website, hanging out with some cool folks. Go listen to other shows there.
Yes.
Panelology. Books That Burn.
I love that you just yell random show names.
the one with Hans and
The
Steven.
Real Movie Critic versus the Cine Guy.
Yep, that one. That's a title that I'll never remember. Go.
Go check out all our awesome
Th-
shows. Go.
They're amazing people. They make good
They
stuff.
do. Go.
Let's Rewatch. I'm on Let's Rewatch.
Yes, you are.
Yeah, doing The Rocketeer very soon. Very good.
But yeah,
Good movie.
Go check out that stuff. You can go to certainpov.com, find all these podcasts, a permanent invite link to our Discord server. You can also find Screen Snark on Twitter at @screen_snark. You can find Rachel at Rachel Quirky. I am Rachel Quirky.
I am Rachel
You can
Quirky.
find me
Yeah.
at DJ_Stormageddon. And then, of course, you can find, you can send us a missive at screensnarkpod@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Please.
Add us.
Yes, please add us. Please reach
We're
out.
terminally
We
online.
are terminally online. If you have guest suggestions,
terrifying.
please hit us with those. We'd love
Yeah.
to see them. And thanks for listening. Now, Josh, it's time for Rachel to
Yeah.
ask you the final
I'm
question.
so excited.
All right.
This is my favorite question. This is the question that I get to ask, because I'm good at asking this question.
Okay.
Josh, if you could select one trope from movies and television to instantly and magically be true in your life, what trope would you choose?
One trope.
Yep.
Look,
One trope to be true in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it could be one that it makes life better for you, or it could be one that makes life harder for your enemies. Not a lot of people choose the one that's like, I want my enemies to always lose.
You know what? I would say I wish there were like everybody like could experience like a montage with a rockin' theme song, just like in their life at some point. And sometimes like when I listen to my headphones, like I imagine like this is like a montage of my life and this is gonna be awesome and everything's building up and I'm like working to get towards that goal.
Yeah.
Like everybody should experience that.
I love
Everyone
that.
gets a montage.
Everyone gets
Right?
a
I
montage.
love that.
I love that. Montages for everybody. You get a montage.
Montages.
But with an awesome song.
It's gotta
Yeah,
be.
for sure, for sure.
What would your
montages?
now we got to know.
Oh,
Josh,
go
what would your montage song be?
It would be is it Reunited by
Ooh,
Wu-Tang?
that's a good one. I think mine would be We Built This City by Starship. That's a good one.
Okay.
Ooh.
That's a good one. What about you, Rachel?
Mine depends on my mood.
What one would it be right now if you had to have one right now? Great answer.
Brutal by Olivia Rodrigo.
There we go. Excellent. Well chosen.
I guess. Let me pick the moody one.
Why not?
It's raining. I'm moody. I love
That's
that.
great.
Montages aren't just for protagonists. They're for everybody.
They're for everybody.
Thanks, Josh.
Thank you again, Josh, for joining us. Thank you to my incredible co-host, the brilliant, talented, effervescent, and vivacious Rachel Quirky Shank.
And thank you to my All About Paul co-host, Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
The bit will never die. And thank you.
It's a fine podcast.
It's a fine podcast. Also, if you get a chance, please rate, review, and subscribe on your podcatcher of choice.
Yeah.
Helps folks find us.
Do
We
that.
appreciate
Thanks.
you. Thank you so much for listening. We adore you, our loyal listeners. We will see you at the movies or on a couch somewhere. Bye-bye.
Aurora, 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 Aurora. Metal to magnet, she will be mine. Aurora.
We've made difficult decisions.
And there are still more ahead of us.
2 people aren't enough to save the galaxy.
We need the toughest,
Smartest.
deadliest allies.
We need you.
We need you to join us.
And listen to Reignite.
A certain point of view podcast about storytelling
Love.
and Mass Effect.
Join us every other Thursday as we fight for the fate of an entire galaxy.
You can find us everywhere you get your podcasts.
Or at certainpov.com/reignite.
We're counting on you.
We should go.
CertainPOV.com.